Dawn of a superpower, the post-war ascent. The ashes of World War II settled, revealing a new world order. The United States, largely unscathed by the war's physical devastation, emerged as a global superpower. Its industrial might was unparalleled. Its military, bolstered by the war effort, was unmatched. From this position of strength, America assumed the mantle of global leadership. The seeds of superpower status were sown. This new role brought unprecedented influence. The U.S. shaped the post-war world, establishing international institutions and alliances. It fostered economic growth through the Marshall Plan, rebuilding war-torn nations. It stood as a bulwark against Soviet expansionism, ushering in the Cold War era. However, this ascendance came at a cost. The responsibility of global leadership weighed heavily on the nation's shoulders. The U.S. found itself increasingly drawn into conflicts far from its shores. The pursuit of containment, of safeguarding its interests and ideology, led to entanglements in Korea, Vietnam, and beyond. The hidden costs of superpower status, often obscured by narratives of triumph and exceptionalism, began to surface. If you find this kind of analytical take on history intriguing, support our journey by liking and subscribing. Every week we uncover the lesser-known truths behind historical events. The human cost of global policing, lives lost and shattered. The Korean War, a police action as it was called, exacted a heavy toll. Over 33,000 American soldiers died in the conflict. Millions of Koreans caught in the crossfire of a divided peninsula perished. Vietnam followed, a protracted and bloody conflict that left an indelible mark on the American psyche. Over 58,000 American lives were lost. Millions of Vietnamese civilians and soldiers were killed. These wars, fought to contain the spread of communism, exemplified the human cost of America's superpower status. They raised uncomfortable questions about the price of global leadership. Who bore the brunt of these interventions? Whose sons and daughters were sent to fight and die in distant lands? The answers were often found in working-class communities, in families struggling to make ends meet, their sacrifices largely invisible to those who orchestrated these wars from afar. The human cost extended beyond the battlefield. Veterans returned home, forever scarred by the horrors they witnessed. Families were torn apart by grief and loss. The psychological wounds of war, the PTSD, the survivor's guilt, lingered long after the guns fell silent. These hidden costs, rarely acknowledged in official narratives, underscored the true price of global power. The economic price tag of supremacy, a nation in perpetual debt. Maintaining a global military presence, projecting power across continents, comes at a staggering cost. The United States, with its vast military apparatus, spends more on defense than any other nation on Earth. Its military bases encircle the globe, a constant reminder of its military might. This commitment to military dominance, while projecting an image of strength, has placed an immense strain on the nation's coffers. The economic burden of superpower status extends beyond military spending. The U.S. provides billions of dollars in military aid to allies around the world. It funds international organizations and initiatives, often shouldering a disproportionate share of the costs. This financial burden has contributed to a ballooning national debt, one that future generations will inherit. The opportunity costs are equally significant. The trillions spent on defense could have been invested in education, healthcare, infrastructure, and social programs. These investments, neglected in the pursuit of global dominance, represent a lost opportunity to address pressing domestic needs and build a more equitable society. Moral compromises on the path to power, a legacy of questionable choices. The pursuit of power often demands compromises. The United States, in its quest to maintain global supremacy, has made choices that raise profound moral questions. It has supported authoritarian regimes, turning a blind eye to human rights abuses when it served its strategic interests. It has engaged in covert operations, overthrowing democratically elected governments and installing puppet regimes. The legacy of these actions is complex and troubling. The U.S. has allied itself with some of the most brutal dictators in modern history. It has intervened in the internal affairs of sovereign nations, often with disastrous consequences. These actions, justified in the name of national security or the fight against communism, have undermined America's moral standing in the world. The use of torture, sanctioned at the highest levels of government, stands as a particularly dark chapter in America's pursuit of power. The images from Abu Ghraib, the revelations of extraordinary rendition, exposed the moral compromises made in the name of national security. These actions, a betrayal of America's founding principles, continue to haunt its global image. If this narrative has given you something to think about so far, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's the best way to help content like this reach more people. Global backlash, the unintended consequences of interventionism. America's interventions, often undertaken with the stated goal of spreading democracy and freedom, have frequently produced unintended consequences. Its actions have fueled anti-American sentiment, creating fertile ground for extremist ideologies to take root. The invasion of Iraq, based on false pretenses, destabilized the region, leading to the rise of ISIS and exacerbating sectarian violence. The United States, despite its military might and economic power, often struggles to shape the outcomes of its interventions. Its actions can create power vacuums, empower militias and warlords, and exacerbate existing tensions. The law of unintended consequences often reigns supreme, undermining America's ability to achieve its foreign policy objectives. This backlash has manifested in various forms, from terrorist attacks to diplomatic standoffs to the growing influence of U.S. rivals. It has complicated America's ability to navigate the global stage, highlighting the limitations of hard power in a world increasingly defined by complex, interconnected challenges. The psychological toll of empire fear, paranoia, and division within. The weight of superpower status, the constant pressure to maintain global dominance, has taken a toll on American society. The fear of enemies, real and imagined, has permeated the national psyche. The Cold War, with its existential threat of nuclear annihilation, created a climate of paranoia and suspicion. This fear, exploited by politicians and the military-industrial complex, has been used to justify increased military spending, surveillance programs, and the erosion of civil liberties. The War on Terror, launched in the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks, further amplified these anxieties. The fear of terrorism, fueled by a relentless media cycle and political opportunism, has eroded trust, fostered division, and created a climate of fear. This climate has been used to justify the curtailment of civil liberties, the profiling of minorities, and the erosion of the rule of law. The psychological toll of empire is evident in the polarization of American society. The political discourse has become increasingly toxic, marked by hyper-partisanship, misinformation, and demonization of the other. This division, exacerbated by economic inequality and social media echo chambers, makes it difficult to address pressing national challenges, further undermining America's ability to navigate the complexities of the 21st century. The sustainability question: can America afford its superpower status? The United States finds itself at a crossroads. Its superpower status, once seemingly unassailable, is being challenged on multiple fronts. The rise of China, the resurgence of Russia, the proliferation of nuclear weapons, and the interconnected nature of global challenges have created a more complex and unpredictable world. The question arises, can America afford to maintain its current posture, one defined by global military dominance and interventionism? The economic costs of maintaining this posture are unsustainable. The national debt continues to soar, fueled by endless wars and exorbitant military spending. The social safety net is fraying, with vital programs facing cuts. The infrastructure is crumbling, a testament to decades of neglect. These challenges, ignored in the pursuit of global dominance, threaten to undermine America's long-term prosperity and well-being. The moral costs are equally unsustainable. America's reputation in the world has been tarnished by its support for dictators, its use of torture, and its disregard for international law. These actions have eroded its soft power, its ability to lead by example and inspire others. The hypocrisy of promoting democracy abroad while eroding it at home has undermined America's moral authority. Rethinking global leadership towards a more sustainable future. The United States needs to reevaluate its role in the world. The old playbook, one defined by military interventionism and the pursuit of global hegemony, is no longer sustainable. It is time for a new approach, one that prioritizes diplomacy, multilateralism, and the pursuit of shared interests. This new approach requires a shift in mindset. The U.S. must move away from zero-sum thinking, recognizing that global challenges require collective action. It must embrace diplomacy as a primary tool of statecraft, investing in its diplomatic corps, and engaging in good faith negotiations. It must work within the framework of international law and institutions, strengthening these institutions rather than undermining them. Domestically, the U.S. must address the systemic issues that have been neglected for too long. It must invest in its people, providing quality education, affordable health care, and economic opportunity. It must address income inequality, racial injustice, and climate change, recognizing that these issues are interconnected with its global standing. Conclusion: the true cost of power. The United States has long enjoyed the privileges and borne the burdens of superpower status. Yet, the hidden costs of this status have often been obscured from public view, shrouded in narratives of exceptionalism and national security. The human toll of endless wars, the economic strain of maintaining global military dominance, the moral compromises made in the pursuit of power, and the psychological impact on American society, these are the true costs of empire. As we move further into the 21st century, the U.S. faces a choice: cling to a fading paradigm of global dominance or chart a new course, one grounded in cooperation, diplomacy, and a commitment to addressing shared global challenges. The path chosen will determine not only America's future, but also the fate of the world. The true cost of power, as history has repeatedly shown, lies not just in the price we pay, but in the choices we make. If you found this video insightful or eye-opening, support us by liking, subscribing, and turning on the notification bell. Let us know in the comments. Do you think the U.S. still has what it takes to stay on this path?